Welcome to another edition of the eSpot with Camille. The eSpot is your location for the latest in entertainment, beauty, and design from the people who make it. Thanks for joining.
She never be pretending, nothing is real. She gon' tell you what she bought it, cause she know you can't afford it. Know you can get it. Look at
Hello. Welcome everyone to the eSpot with Camille. I'm your host, Camille Cower. And today I have a treat for you all like you have never heard before. This day I have ShySpeaks. I'm trying to think of all the things she does. Well, she sings, she raps, she does all the things that you can think of. She's a spoken word artist straight out of Dallas, Texas. I can't wait for you to meet her. Come on in, Shy. Like, so happy to have you. Thank you for being here, being my guest. And tell everyone,
thank you for having me on the eSpot.
it was totally my pleasure. And a little backstory, I kind of messed up on our schedule. So I thank you for rescheduling with me and coming back when I need a
Absolutely.
I very rarely make them and I feel so guilty about it. So anyway, on to you. Tell everyone how you got started as, because first of all, I think of hip hop being so difficult for women to break into anyway, but the fact that you're so successful with it, tell everyone how you got started and how you really had the courage to go for it.
Well, okay, so I don't know. I would say I come from a musical family. So I knew early on that I already had like the gift of music, sing, song, and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't know an integral part about hip hop and spoken word is to be able to have the songwriting aspect. Anybody can kind of sing along and mimic, but to be able to find your voice is like it's a whole nother level. And I would say I found my confidence and the fact that I had power in my voice when I was early on, when I was in elementary school in oratorical contests. But it wasn't until I was able to like find my voice through therapeutic writing and poetry and so forth and so on that I was able to find my own message and all that kind of stuff. And I was able to put together like my musical upbringing and then my lyricism and wordsmithery, if that's not a word, but yeah, I was able to combine those two.
People be making words up all the time in hip hop. That's kind of part of it, right?
It's
yeah.
I'll tell you a fun story that I oftentimes don't tell people during interviews. I remember being in elementary school and I would sit down and I would rap songs that I heard on the radio, and I would do them so well that all the kids would stop playing and come and do like requests, rap this one or rap that one. And they did it so often that it would make the teachers would be like, they would come over and listen like, okay, we'll do this song. And next thing you know, I'm just sitting there rapping. And that's how I realized like, okay, you really can rap, So anyway, I just think that's like a little fun story to be like, I'm pretty sure that's a unique scenario that most kids are not at at recess, entertaining the whole crowd. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. So, you have like a great speaking voice in general. Like you sound like you can sing. You sound like someone who performs. So when the different teachers and so on and everyone else, but how about your family? What you said they're musical, so tell a little bit of us about that. What was it like? You guys were just always singing at home? Like, how was that going on?
Oh yeah, like right now, if we were to take the eSpot to my family's house and we're all there at any given moment, we could be like, I could say something like, I'm on the eSpot, and then all of a sudden, eSpot, and then all my family would start coming in with harmony. They just, I'm telling you, it's always like that. It was like that growing up all the time. Our aunties are in a group, a musical group, and they made sure all their children, all of us, knew how to sing, and it was just always like that. We're from a church family. My grandfather was a pastor, so we were the choir, so we had to make sure we had our voice together at all times. So there's that aspect. Yeah. But where I would say my mom understood like the power of my voice, my speaking voice, my delivery, my ability to be able to be convicting and compelling was when she put me in oratorical contest, probably at 6 or 7 years old. And I would recite like Maya Angelou speeches or, I Have a Dream speeches, or I could just go for 3 to 4 minutes with just a long speech and say it with conviction and passion. And my mom was like, yeah, that's something. And so I think I will probably say my family investing in me and putting me in those contests was integral for me being here today. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, I love that, especially Maya Angelou, because she's everything. Um, so you came from a church family. How did they feel about you going into hip hop? Because usually that's kind of a conflict, unless you're doing like raps that are about the
Yeah,
Lord.
like
You know what I mean? So,
sincere about the gospel or something. But yeah, I mean, by the time I started like full on rapping, or they even realized like I could do it, because again, it was something that I did at school with my friends and my peers. I'm going to different studios. It wasn't
Mhm.
something that my family really knew about. And then I would say it wasn't until like, I don't know, I was much older by the time that they realized like I could rap. And I had already by that time decided that I was going to be well, they knew I could rap, but I'm saying by the time they realized like, oh, this is a thing, like she is booked and busy, people ask her to come to places. So like, you know, obviously church and hip hop, like that's taboo because of the topics usually are in conflict with what's being talked about over there. But for me, I had already decided to be a positive, inspirational, message driven artist, so to speak, who definitely does have a church or Christian background and worldview, but I chose to be specific in that regard. So since my stuff is kind of generally like good, you know, then it's not a problem. So
Yeah. Now, when you first started performing, since you already had that experience since elementary school,
yeah.
was there ever a time you were nervous and how did you overcome that?
Oh, so I'm always so the funny part is, so I'm artistically known as ShySpeaks. ShySpeaks is the artist alias, but Shy is just my name, right?
Mhm.
And so my mom calls me Shy. My whole family calls me Shy. Shy is on my trophy, but Shy was like, I'm I get shy. So let's be clear. Like even to today, I get shy. But there's a word that I came up with. Like it was a line in a poem that I said. I rhyme in this time because I was designed for this season, right? And so I have to realize that I do this because this is what I'm here to do, and there's a purpose behind when I do it. And when I do it, I speak a language that other people probably wouldn't be able to speak and or be able to listen to it if it was coming in any other mode. And so because I know the power and the weight behind it, that's what helps me like shake off the little nervousness and the stage fright and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So
Now, I was reading through your bio and it's very impressive. And I mean, you've won a few awards, even as an adult. It didn't stop in elementary school, but you've also performed alongside some huge names. Was there
right.
ever a time, even with that, that you were just kind of like, "How did this happen?" Or like, I mean, I'm sure
Right,
you felt
right.
this every step was meant to be, but at the same time, was there ever that moment you were like, felt maybe imposter syndrome, or just felt like I'm not ready for this? And how did you overcome that? Because so many times people doubt themselves when, just like you, their talent is meant to be it's meant for them to share. And I just
Right.
want for them to hear from you how you overcame it and how they can too.
You know, I guess I don't know. I don't know if I ever had like imposter syndrome in the regard to music, but I felt it in other areas of my life. But like when I was opening for some of the people who you talked about, like maybe like Ludacris or Bun B or Rhapsody, or I don't know, just some of the like prominent figures in hip hop, it was okay, I will say this. So here's the thing. My family knows that wherever I go, I'm always me, but they don't always come to all my shows because they're like, there's gonna be some other stuff going on. But you know, if I'm at a Jeezy concert, I feel at home. I mean, I'm a hip hopper, right? And so I never. I don't know if I felt imposter syndrome in that regard, but there were times where I looked out and I'm like, wow, this is the Dr. Pepper Arena. Or, oh my gosh, this is the
Mhm.
Drum Factory. It's 3,000 people up here. You know, it's 4,000 people looking back at me. I better get this right. And so there is that pressure. But I think for me, like, because I've been doing it so long, and I think that's the thing. Like, here's the thing: some people didn't have the opportunity to start when they were a kid, but whenever you start doing whatever it is that you're doing, especially if you're using your voice and speaking and something like that, you just have to practice, get as many reps and opportunities in. Because the more you do something, the more it becomes second nature to you. It becomes like Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like I see all the people, but I know that I've done this enough time to where all I got to do is go on stage, wax on, wax off. So yeah,
Like muscle memory almost, right? So,
muscle memory.
um, yeah. So I also like with your spoken word, or
Yeah.
even with coming up with songs. Like, what's your process to? Is it are you? Is it more or less that you something's happening around you and you feel like writing it, or you hear a song and you're like, "Ooh, I would have done it this way." Like, what is your process as far as coming up with new songs and lyrics?
So some of the things you just kind of said are like all of those things happen to me. I'm not one of those people that's like I have a rigid system, like it has to come to me this way. Now I will say this: there's a statement that says that a fool speaks when they want to say something, and then a wise person speaks when they have something to say. And so whenever I feel a message like bubbling up within me and I have something to say, then inspiration comes easily. It's easy for me to write, right? I have something to say. So most of the time the message or the concept of the idea comes first. But there are times where I hear a track or music beat, I'm like, ooh, this is it. And it just kind of just happens right there. So I don't have a really rigid way. But you did mention something. You said, do you sometimes hear the beat and you're like, oh, I need to do this and turn it into my own? I actually have recently started doing that in 2020, during like the pandemic, the onset of the pandemic. I launched a series called Free Lunch Fridays, where I hop on other people's beats and I just kind of go in. It's kind of like it's like combining free lunch, free food, and the freestyle, the spirit of freestyle and free verse. So yeah, so I do a couple of different things, but mostly for me, it's usually a message that kind of comes in my head or a thought. So
That's fascinating. So you also are a voiceover artist. How did
yeah.
that come about? And where have we might have heard? No, I'm just kidding. What is your favorite part of doing that as well?
So okay, so yes, I am a voiceover artist, and how that came about is because I think through me being a poet and me being able to stand on stage and be an orator and so forth and so on, there were times where people would be like, I need somebody with like a strong voice, a strong speaking voice, real smooth, and or this type of tone, but like they can kind of make it sound dreamy or whatever. So basically, people would begin to refer me like, hey, ShySpeaks could take your script and kind of make it poetic, so to speak. And so there will be times where people will contact me and say, hey, I have this script. Can you help me rework it to make it not sound so blah? Like, it's a commercial script and I don't want it to sound just too. I wanted to have some flow. So I started off doing what I call like poetic scripting. And then there were times where people say, I want the voice. I want your voice on the commercial. I want your voice in the spot. And so it just kind of happened. I mean, it was just kind of like through referral and through my live presentations. People said like, I like your voice. I want to start utilizing you. I didn't have a voiceover company officially set up, but I'm like, okay, I can start providing services and then we'll get the company later,
Right. Yeah.
I
Look, make it
enjoy it.
till you
That's one
make
of
it.
my favorite things to do. Just because you kind of get to become something different in that moment, so to speak.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, tell everyone a little bit about your other endeavors that you have going on, because we spoke a little bit about it off camera. So I want to make sure that you share about this because this is exciting. This is a lot of people are doing courses, but you don't always know if they're qualified to teach it, and clearly you are. So share a little bit about that as well.
Right. So I am going to be launching this year. I'm going to be launching an online academy. If I've been working on it on the back end, and the online academy is all about teaching independent artists and creative entrepreneurs how to set up, organize, and operate their art as a business. I think oftentimes creatives know how to do the creative thing. We know how to do the runs, the ribs, the metaphors, and the similes, and all those types of things. But can you send an invoice?
Can you get
But
an invoice paid? That's
a
my part.
way of communicating
Yeah.
communicating with your audience aside from posting on social media. Do you have contract? Is there, how do people reach out to you and book you for press interviews or performances? And so oftentimes people are just like really good and people just refer you into places, but you don't have that structure or the infrastructure together. And so that's what I really want to help artists do. Like I know, especially for some artists, it doesn't even come natural. It doesn't even come. It's like the the thing that they don't really want to do. But if I could help them get it all set up in a short period of time, then you can just use it to operate. Because at the end of the day, artists have products, they have services which make them businesses. And if you are a business, if you plan to scale, you have to start operating one, and that requires infrastructure. So, yeah.
No, and I mean, sometimes with artists, it's like only one side of their brain works in that. Like they like thinking of with the A side of the brain or B. I can't ever remember which one's which, but it's difficult because I'm a daughter of an artist. I worked in the film industry since I was a teenager. Like I get it. Like my agent handles most of my business stuff. And
Right.
when I started doing my podcast and had to do things myself, it's like, this is so time consuming. And I don't even like replying to emails, truth be told.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'd rather you call me personally because
all
it's
of
too much
that.
to read. And I'm like, y'all ain't gonna make me go blind with these long press releases every day, all day long. Like, get to the point. Yeah. So, speaking of which, getting to the point, you recently came out with this beautiful music video that you wanted to shout out because it's basketball season, March Madness, all of that. And I'm Team Duke. And speaking of a basketball team that begins with D, can you share a little bit about that? And I'll show the audience the video after you tell a little bit about it and how that came about.
Yes. So, as I mentioned earlier, most of my music and artistry, spoken, any of it comes out of a bag of trying to be positive, inspirational, and uplifting. I think that's what comes natural to me. I think there's not a soul on the planet that cannot stand to be encouraged just a little bit more. And so, I actually wrote this song called Wings. Right. The song is called Wings, and it's all about kind of like pretty much reveling in the secret sauce that you have that causes you to be able to fly and soar to great heights. And I'm like, I want this song to feel like an anthem. I want it to feel like a sports anthem. If I'm going to do sports, it needs to be specifically for female basketball athletes because, I played high school sports, little small piece of college. But I wanted to dedicate it to the women's sports world. And so anyway, I recently shot. The song was released on March 4th, and I dedicated the music video to the DeSoto Lady Eagles, which is the DeSoto High School girls basketball team in the DFW Metroplex right here in Texas. And they actually won state, right? So we recorded the video, and then a couple of weeks later, they played in state. We dropped the video the day before they won the championship. I don't even know how we like conceptualized to do all that at once. But Wings, listen, it's a song that it's a sports anthem kind of, but it's also just the anthem for you and your team to feel like, okay, we got this going on. We all the way up, So yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the song, but the video was so fun to shoot. We incorporated the girls. The girls basketball team is in the video. The coach, all of that is super historic.
And wait, the mayor too, right?
And the mayor of DeSoto is in the video. The principal is in the video. The coaches. I get so excited talking about it. Let me calm down.
Look, let's talk no more. Let's show the people what's going on. So let me just bring that up so everybody can see what we are talking about.
I got the wings, it's the wings, I got the wings, yeah, yeah. I got the wings, it's the wings, I got the wings, yeah, yeah. Simmer down, no, won't be civilized. I won't be denied, quit asking me how I rise, you know why. I got the wings, it's the wings, I got the wings, yeah, yeah. I got the wings, it's the wings, I got the wings, yeah, yeah. I'm supreme, yep, that's just how it seems.
Look, you got to see the rest of it on YouTube. I'll drop the link because, it brings me all that like pep rally, fun. Like it reminds me of the good times of high school because a lot of times you remember the bad. But I had a great time in high school. I was an athlete as well, so like it brought back all that fun of Friday nights going to the football or Thursday, or not football, basketball games, and just cheering for your team, talking junk, looking fly, and the whole thing, and having like your whole dance routine that you did towards certain songs and stuff. Like it's really cool. And gotta shout out Duke too. So I'm curious, like after they won and everything, and the mayor, and how did they respond to seeing the video? Because I'm sure they were hype as well about it.
Yes, what got me was like how excited the coach was, because think about it, the coach was in playoffs at the end of her last, I think, season game before they went into playoffs. We were like, can we do, we need to shoot the music video. Can we do it now? She's like, let's do it now. But she wanted them to stay focused in that game mode. We trying to win a championship, not to be celebrating, but they needed to celebrate. I mean, they were like, I think they were like, they lost 0 games in their district. I think they may have only lost 1 game at an ESPN Invitational, which was all the girls around the nation. Like, so I'm like, they need to celebrate. So anyway, we did the video. The girls had so much fun. If you watch it, because she teased you with it, go back and watch the video. You'll see them getting in there. And at the end of it, coach was like, when they saw the video, they were like, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. We love it. Like, it's like, yeah, like I they were like, we're so happy that we did it. We gave them an opportunity to celebrate, because guess what? These girls deserve it. They went on and handled business at the championship. So the video dropped that Friday, and then Saturday they played the championship. So it was everything epic, which gives them something to listen to when they're done. It gives them something to share to their friends at their school. And so I know the kids were sharing it. So because I saw some of the students at the game, and they were like, is that the girl, the wings girl, the wings lady? The principal loved it. The mayor, she shouted the video back out. Like, we got so much positive feedback. Even the school board reached out to us and just was like, yeah, this is great. So it was from the local level, which is like, of course, I'm an artist. I want I'm an international artist, so I want my song to go everywhere. But what they say, charity starts at home. Love should be local, and so to do the local love thing, and they receive it well, it was great.
No, it's nothing better than being accepted in your own home in that way, and being celebrated too, and being able to share that love with the basketball team. And that's something they'll have forever, that they can share with friends and colleges and, like grandkids. Like it's there for them. And I'm so happy for them as well. And congratulations, ladies, for winning state championships. That's amazing. Look. Oops, wrong one. Let's give them some applause in this piece. So,
right. Yeah,
what's coming up next for you, and how can everyone, speaking of sharing, how can everyone keep up with you and share your information and do all of that before we head out?
So that's a really great question. I always tell people, because people want to just do the quick thing and go to social media and follow, and please do, because I try to be very interactive with the people who take time to keep up with my journey. And now I'm on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at ShySpeaks. That's ShySpeaks. Also, I have a website, which is where I would really tell you to go to ShySpeaks.com. And on there, you're able to go to my music page. And I actually have a project that's it's free if you join my email list. Like, so basically only my email subscribers get this particular project. And so go on there, go to the website, peruse around, get the free project, and let's stay plugged in. And of course, follow me on social media.
That's great. And that's where they can find out about your university that's coming up too, or not university.
Yes. I've been holding I haven't cut the ribbon yet on it. And so I've been holding it back at bay, but they will be able to find out more about the online academy. And so, yeah. And then of course, for people who say like, no, I don't want to just follow and get on the email list, I'm going to do that, but I want to support you. I actually have a Patreon as well. So it's patreon.com/ShySpeaks, or you can go to my website and get there either way. But there you can actually you can pledge monthly to be a part of my community that I'm building out for like ShySpeaks fans and creative entrepreneurs. Because I'm dropping nuggets and I'm sharing like a whole bunch of exclusive content there. So you can kind of support me there as well. So yeah, all of those things, ShySpeaks and everywhere.
That sounds great. Well, again, thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciate you rescheduling with me, and I'm sorry again. It never happens, and knock on wood. Oh, where's some wood? so that doesn't happen again to me. And thanks again. And make sure everyone that you share, like, support your girl ShySpeaks as well as the E-Spot with Camille. And I will be back next week, next Thursday, another great guest. And make sure you shout out my sponsors as well. Blue Water Spa is my sponsor, as well as Olivia Gatewood, who's the artist who also does my earrings. Olivia's art gallery is where you can find her. So thank you again so much for everyone for tuning in and having this day with us and spending the time with me and ShySpeaks. We had a great time, and keep watching the E-Spot.
All right. Peace out.
Ain't no competition, stay on a pivot. Who be watching, they be plotting. She's so motherfucking independent. Mama be big, got on her grind. She had to get out her mama house. Daddy be tripping, now she be whipping. Ain't no more.